Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit North Node conjunct one's natal Neptune. Now, when we're talking about the transit of the North Node in astrology, it could often be about issues one may have to confront or address. It could be issues that one may have no choice but to deal with. That are unavoidable and inevitable if you've been procrastinating, hesitating, or what have you on dealing with certain things in your life. There may not be much choice at this point in time but to actually deal with it. And I mean, it's about our future, our destiny as well, and also about the development of the qualities in connection with the North Node placements. So, anyway, now, as far as this goes, when you have the transit North Node conjunct one's natal Neptune, this could manifest in issues one may have to confront and address about illusion, deception, and duplicity. It could be, if it's in the 11th house, say it might be over a fake or fallacious friend. If you have, like, say, this conjunction is in Scorpio and you have it, um, you really, it could be about using going through subterfuge and superficiality, maybe to really see who your friends are. Say if the North Node is in Scorpio in your 11th house, say it could be about going through subterfuge and superficiality in order to see what these friends are actually about, and kind of understand the real ones from the facsimiles, the fakes, or what have you. Now, it could also be about issues regarding one's dreams. I mean, when I say dreams, it's about what you dream of actually being, or what you want to do, what you maybe fantasize about. You might be determining at this time, well, is this realistic? Is this unrealistic? Is this a dream that's actually attainable or not? And things that might be nebulous and unclear. I mean, say if you have this transit takes place in your fourth house, and your transit North Node conjunct your natal fourth house Neptune. This may manifest in trying to understand things that are somewhat nebulous or unclear in home, family related matters, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, ancestry or roots, matters with traditions perhaps, and maybe who you are at the core as well. Now, it could also be, in some cases, it could be about having to deal maybe a drug or alcohol related issue. Sometimes it can be the person in question who's having this transit, or it could be somebody that depending on what house it falls in, that's connected with that house and that sector of life it falls in. Say if it falls in the third house in one's natal chart, it could be perhaps somebody that's a sibling, a cousin, a neighbor, someone from your early environment, someone that's prominent in your short journeys that might be dealing with some kind of alcohol or drug related issue. And if it's something that you've avoided in terms of confronting them, maybe about this might be that time where they need to actually hear something, or something comes to a head in terms of their issue that they're dealing with. It also could also be about matters of forgiveness that might need to be addressed at this time. If it's been a situation where you've been somewhat vengeful or vindictive, or I'm not say vengeful or vindictive, just simply unforgiving maybe, and you've held a grudge against somebody for a while, it might be a point in time where you may have to deal with something that where you might have to just let something go and relax and be a little bit more passive regarding the situation, just walk away. Also, these could be about matters, could be with chemical, it could be an inadvertent chemical assimilation. Again, going back to Neptune in the fourth house, we have this transit conjoin your natal Neptune in the fourth house. It could be some chemical leak in the home that finally has to be dealt with, or maybe there's more of a realization of it at this time. And it could also be issues that are Neptune related, that are connected with physical bodies, such as the feet, the toes, the lymphatic system, mucous membranes, lethargy, just general weakness. Now let's take, and also about matters with altruism as well, perhaps. Now let's take, for example, okay, somebody has this transit North Node. Say they have the transit North Node in Scorpio conjunct their natal Neptune and Scorpio in their seventh house in their natal chart as an example. This could manifest perhaps in issues where you're trying to decipher the agenda of others, perhaps their motives as well, and whether there are ulterior motives or not. And it could also be about dealing with rather elusive, which is Neptune, corrupt Scorpio, and also people that might be that you may be involved in some important friendship connection or a relationship. And keep in mind too that or even elusive, corrupt, open adversaries, some people that might have done you in terms of stealing or whatever, or committed some crime against you. This could also be, also remember that the North Node in astrology in transit can involve impeccable timing. This could be really, say you have, for example, you have Neptune, you have this transit, the transit North Node conjunct your natal Neptune and Aquarius in your fifth house in your natal chart. This may manifest in some kind of simulated, which is Neptune. It is something that's not real, but it's very close to real. It seems real, but not simulated, which could be Neptune, which is Neptune, and then computer, which is Aquarius, something with sports. Fifth house matchups, it could be about developing like hypothetical simulated sports matchups, and it might be a very good time to do that if you're in a computer industry and you're involved in some kind of development of computer games. And also too, I'm going to talk about something that occurred as an example of this with a famous person. Now, on April 5th, 1994, I believe it was legendary musician Kurt Cobain. He committed suicide. Now, at that time, the transit North Node in Scorpio made a conjunction to his natal Neptune. And the thing about this is, keep in mind the North Node can be about our future, our destiny. It's not always good. And the fact you're talking about Neptune is associated with suicide. Being in Scorpio, perhaps done in a rather kind of surreptitious manner. Yes, when people commit suicide generally, it tends to be done under the radar because they don't want anybody intervening or conflicting with what they're attempting to do. But I think it took like 3 days for him to be found, 2 or 3 days for him to be discovered. A lot of people that commit suicide are found are discovered that they killed themselves like within 24 hours, but his took like 2 or I think maybe 3 days until somebody came in and discovered him discovered him dead. And this is another thing too. Another thing as well that I want to talk about as far as an example of the transit North Node conjoining one's natal Neptune. Now on it was on the I know it was on February 4th. It was February 4th, 2012. Transit North Node in Sagittarius. This is the main exact conjunction to footballer David Beckham's natal Neptune in the 7th house in his chart. And understand Sagittarius can be about sports, 7th house competition. Now, David Beckham's natal Neptune in Sagittarius, 7th house, okay, that's again 7th house competition, Sagittarius sports. What happened was, I think the way it may have manifested with him at this time, that this was about the dreams of being a sports athlete, someone maybe very competitive, being in the 7th house, perhaps will realize now he didn't retire at this time. But what it is that he retired the next year. But at this time, it tells me that he likely was contemplating this ending of the dream. The North Node can be about coming to terms with something, and it can manifest in a multitude of ways. In this case, it may have been about an ending of something he was doing sports related. He was a footballer at the time. Now, say you have this another example. Let's say that you have this transit hitting your natal Neptune and Capricorn in your 12th house. Now, one way this could manifest, this could be about the idealism, which is Neptune related, not idealism in attaining career ambitions, which is Capricorn. And it could be and it could be something 12th house related, such as the metaphysical, which includes astrology, photography, dancing, poetry. It could be prison work, photography, working in chemistry, anything that could be like 12th house related. Now, could also, in coming to terms with it, could be about your destiny, your future, connected with, and also the development of those qualities, that energy that is tied into what I just stated. And also, Neptune and Capricorn can, even though generational, can manifest in having intuitive business acumen, and it could be in something 12th house related. Keep in mind, Neptune is also associated with imprisonment. If somebody is incarcerated and they're looking, it's a time where they're looking for maybe some plea deal. They're able to give up some information about somebody that committed a crime, and they're trying to get out, extricate themselves from prison earlier than later. This might be that opportune time, because when you're having the transit north node hitting one's natal Neptune, if this is a person that is in prison, say, that's incarcerated, it could be matters that have to be done with deal with imprisonment at this time, and sometimes maybe I would think could manifest in getting and maybe issues related to a jail sentence, which wouldn't exclude getting out earlier, or it could even be where it might be extended for some reason, and that the person might be wind up going later, or just a matter, it could be a time where a person, say if it's somebody on the run and they're somebody very elusive and they're trying to elude the law or what have you, this could be a time where it might catch up with them and they have no choice but to pay the piper and wind up doing their time. So those are some ways that could pan out. Also, you're talking about Neptune can be, I mean, you're talking about also schizophrenia in some cases. If somebody has this, and this transit is hitting their natal Neptune, it could be about issues connected with that and having to deal with that. Say if you have your Neptune in your 12th house in your natal chart and you're having this transit north node making a conjunction to it in your experience, especially if you're experiencing um, some kind of confounding mental illness. This could be the time where you might have to deal with it more, whether it's escalated or what have you, and it might be a time where you might have to confront this issue if you've been trying to avoid it and act like, say, everything is okay, it's not really affecting me, but it might be affecting, for example, it might be affecting the person more than he or she is willing to acknowledge or admit, so, and that could be an issue that might have to be dealt with at that time. But what I'm saying is very isolated, of course. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.